Hi, this is Fran with Stampendous, and we're continuing our fabulous Friday Fun watercolor series. This board previews some of the things that we will be doing through the month of June. So let's take a look at the three new sets. We have fruity drinks, balloons and more, and lovely flowers. Each have some fun messages. We're going to start by painting each of these different little cups and glasses and jars individually, just to get the feel of it. And I'll mention that when you take your clear stamps off of the carrier, we've opened up the area in the middle so that it won't stamp with ink where you don't want it. And that makes it sometimes a little bit tricky to get things lined up on your block. Because of that opening, it's possible that they can get skewed. So a couple of tips for that. One is if you take it off, and we'll turn this going the way that it's going to print, and with my stamp upside down, I can line it up and try to centralize the image the way it should be, and then I can lift it on my block. And then we're going to test it and see. Okay, that looks like it's pretty centered. And check that to begin with so that you don't have your little cup all skewed one way or another. I've got each of the stamps on a block, one at the top on each side so that I can easily work with them back and forth. I'm using the Canson watercolor paper, 140-pound cold press. And I've got a lot of small pieces, and we'll just do some stamping to begin with and give it a minute to dry. I'm using the VersaFine Onyx Black ink on all of this, and this ink dries rather quickly. In most cases with this set, everything is translucent. We're seeing the fruit on the edge of the glass or the straws through the drink. And I was going to say we didn't need to do any masking on this, but on this one, I put the little strawberry in front. So I will show you a little trick for doing that. I'm going to take a damp wet wipe and just clean away the ink from that corner after I spotted where it would line up. Okay, close enough. And I always keep a micron pen handy. I like the 05 for this, and I can touch up a little line here and there if I need to. The strawberry up here, I'll make it look like it was sliced and on the rim of the glass. And for that, we don't need to mask it. We'll let us see through it. It's easier if you clean your stamps as you go. Next, I'm going to prepare some puddles in a whole bunch of colors. Spritzing my palette is an easy place to start. My colors are all laid out according to the diagram that we did for this palette, and I've turned it so that you can see over here. Just on our color wheel, we're using only the 6 colors, and the 3 cool colors are in this compartment, the 3 warm colors in this compartment to mix my browns. In case you haven't watched any of the other series, you might want to watch it here, but we'll just fast forward so that you can see how we get our browns here. I replenish paint as needed from the small tubes, and when it's newly replenished, it mixes very readily. So I will clean off some of that scarlet and add some more of the gamboge here for a lighter, light yellow. And these are handy compartments to kind of create a range of different colors here, different shades of brown, and then they're ready when I need them. Over here, I'm just going to quickly mix a little bit more to get some grays for our shadow colors. I'm going to prepare some puddles of each of these primary colors, and then as I'm painting, I don't have to think about mixing. I've got some things ready to go, move quickly from one color to another. And yellow with the phthalo blue is in this pocket together so that I can mix some green. If I want a lime green, I will get mostly yellow with only a little bit of the blue. Okay, I have rose with some of the phthalo blue in this pocket, and just to keep some of this in view, I'll create a little puddle there with a bit of the blue as well. So in spite of having this limited color palette, the rose, the quinacridone rose, gives us a beautiful pinks and range of pinks to deep reds or burgundies. And if we just want a soft bit of the rose color, the water is giving us a nice blend with that. So I designed these with the ice cubes in the jar, and let's see here, a little bit more of the rose color, test it a little bit more here. Okay, and then while it's still rather damp, I'm going to add some more color to deepen the color, but I just do loose washes. I'm going to do the same here on the strawberries. I'm not trying to come right up to every line. And then I'm going to get, with less water on my brush, get a stronger red color here for my strawberries. And we'll darken it a little bit more down here at the bottom, making sure it looks like it's nice and ripe. Might even leave a little highlight there. Next, we've got sweet tea over here. So we're just going to do a whole group of different shades of these brown colors here. And because I have a mixed ahead, and we can just wet on wet kind of dab them all in here together and enjoy the translucent look of it here. Okay, and then we've got some little mint leaves, but let's do a little bit of a darker green for that. And keep your brush rather dry so that you can control just painting a little bit of it in this small area. And that's kind of wet. Okay, and we'll add a little bit to the, just make sure the red is dry enough before you add your greens. Okay, and then for our peachy drink here. I'm going to pre-mix some of the gamboge with the scarlet. Okay. It just takes a couple of swashes of color. And you want some variation, so we'll go with a little bit more of the gamboge here and there, and a little bit deeper with the scarlet. So this set's going to give you a lot of different combinations that you can make look like any of your favorite drinks. Thought we'll try something, maybe a key lime sort of one on this one. And this one with the cherry, you can put it down in the glass and you've got a nice little umbrella to add. And a little bit more color here. Okay, you could stop there, but it's quite nice if we do a little bit of shadowing with a little bit of a soft blue. I'm going to retrieve a little bit of this gray color up here and mix it over here with a bit of the phthalo blue. And that's darker than I want, so let's go to the blue edge. Okay, that's more like it. Okay, so if you want to add just a little bit of color along the rim or the base, and this one, maybe we want it to be a little bit blue-green, you can get bits of both color on your brush. Maybe add a little bit more along the edge. Okay. With this one, you can add a little bit of color down here to the bottom of the glass. And then to keep them from looking like they're just floating in midair, we're going to do a little shadow underneath to ground it. And that little shadow will make it look like it's sitting on the table. So now I want that grayer shade, and see if you can do it in just a stroke or two coming underneath. And I'm assuming the light from this side will cast a little bit of a shadow going this way. For our straws, if we want to do a real nice red, we want to make sure your brush is quite dry because it's such a small area. We're going to get a strong, cleaning my brush and my swamp, and I have my clean well water there. You could make the colors a little bit lighter once they're down inside the glass. Okay, so do some little single ones as a good warm-up and try a whole variation of different colors. Now let's do some balloons. These are larger than the ones we've had before, and this will give us a little bit more fun areas to work with the translucent qualities of the balloons. We've got a cluster here with 2 of them. This one has a nice trio here. So let's get a nice little puddle or 2 going here with the blues. This is the phthalo blue, and this is the French ultramarine blue. I think it works easiest for me to do a bit of the sky first, so we're going to start with a soft medium blue, and we're just going to create some soft looking clouds here behind the balloons. Smaller brush strokes will look like more broken up sky and clouds. And might as well paint across the areas down here where there aren't any balloons. Come up around the sides a little bit. Okay, we don't want the sky to take over the color of the balloons, but just enough to add some interest. Painting a couple of them at a time gives me an opportunity to, while one area is drying, work on another area. And we'll start with our yellows here. So this is the Hansa Yellow Light. By itself, it seems kind of on the light side to me. So I usually add some more of the yellow-orange gamboge here. And remember that it's going to dry a little bit lighter. Okay, and then let's do this one yellow on this side. If your brush is really wet, that's where it's harder to control or create a highlight. So keep it a little bit on the drier side and get some nice vivid color. And I'm sort of creating a crescent of a darker color to make it look a little more rounded. And I'm leaving a little highlight area as though my sun is coming in from this side. And here we have a beautiful magenta color, so let's mix up some of that. I've used the rose with, rose is also in this pocket with just a little bit of the phthalo blue is going to give me a nice magenta color here. Okay, that looks kind of nice, and I maybe need a little bit darker shade of it, but okay, I need a little bit more water. Okay, there we go. Okay, so let's do this one. Again, I'm leaving that little highlight area dry so that the color can't move into it. And then we'll create darker area down here. So over here now, I'm going to do my rose color. And since that yellow had dried, we'll just paint over it. This is looking like the red balloon is in front of the yellow one. I could lighten this area a little bit if I wanted to. And this little area here now, with a clean brush, I'm going to soften the edges just a little bit. Not so much that all the color runs into that spot, but just to soften the edge. Same with this one, the edge was a little bit funny looking. And since this is just our warm-up with the balloons, I'm not going to worry about making it perfectly shadowed or anything. It's just fun to get those splashes of color and enjoy that translucent idea of seeing through these balloons. Okay, so now let's do some greens. Again, that yellow had time to dry, or those colors, the green might have just run into the yellow area of the balloon. So practice all different colors and different color combinations between the different balloons. And practice your little skies with some white puffy clouds. So now let's work with our lovely flowers, and we'll do some simple paintings here in miniature. There's two clusters of flowers, and one has the little tiny flowers as well as the larger ones. But you can make them be all sorts of different flowers. Clean off. There's an interesting little ribbon, and I'm going to stamp it first, going at the angle down toward the bottom edge here. Okay, so they go together a lot of different ways without masking, and makes them easy to work with. I've painted these pretty much the way you see them on the color index, and that's just an easy place to start if you're wondering. But of course you can try them in all different colors. Do some yellows and then add some more of the gamboge. The inside petals and around the center. And let's do some light blues on these little flowers. Just some dots of color. And let's do some blues here on the a little bit on the wet side, get a little bit more color here. But this one brush, using the tip, lets me do a lot of fine detail. I intentionally let the blues dry a bit here before coming back in to add a bit of the purples. And now I'm doing some smaller little dots almost of color here. Okay, and we might as well use a little bit of that to shade our ribbons. With the mostly dry brush, I'll just spread that out and blend it a little bit more. Okay, and then for our greens, if I use the yellow with the marine blue, I get a nice olive green color. Mix up a bit more of this. Okay, and these are such small little areas that it's just a brush stroke here and there. If you want, you could add some other lines, looking like some more stems coming down. And if it looks too dark, you can use your brush to lift away a bit of color so you have some lights and greens. Okay, and then to add just a little bit more punch to it, we'll get a little bit of the scarlet and add just a bit of that to the center here and there. Very quick, easy way to paint these. And since we haven't talked about this for a while, especially on a smaller design like this, I think I'll do a torn edge, and I'll just hold it close. It's easier if you wait for it to dry. But anyway, we'll just do a little decal edge to make it look like a miniature. And on this one, I had painted some other things on the back side of this watercolor paper. That was just a practice, so now I painted on the front. Okay, so you want it to be mostly rectangular, and that will set it off nicely on a card with some other colors behind. So that's the end of our video 113. Be sure and subscribe with your YouTube account so that you can follow along. And next week, using the same stamps, we'll take it to some further, more advanced techniques and even more fun with these 3 stamp sets. Thanks for watching.